This is what my body looks like completely relaxed and normal, and this is what I can make my body look like if I try hard enough. If I can do it, then celebrities and influencers can too. Remember that.
Use your brain! Use your brain! Use your brain! The thing in your head, use it! Fucking idiot!
You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly, deck balls with boughs of holly.
I'm not your sis. I'm not in community with LGBTQ people who don't support Palestine. Also, how could they throw me off the roof of a building when Israel has destroyed all of their buildings?
You're in the scooping room. Do you know why they call it the scooping room? It's because, dummy, this is the room where they use the scooper.
I feel like you're abusing me.
They're killing them en masse. They're enslaving them. They're making people forcibly breed. They're feeding our babies to alligators. That doesn't matter. They're black. They've cut off their water. They've cut off their food. They're bombing them relentlessly. They're bombing children at the beach. That doesn't matter. They're Muslims.
Not even a full week after the shooting in Vermont happened, we have another Palestinian just basically being harassed for simply wearing a keffiyeh. This Palestinian Canadian was going to the Mariah Carey Christmas concert when she was blocked by staff at the Scotiabank Arena solely because she was wearing a keffiyeh. Anyway, here's their official Twitter. So if you want to leave any, comments, concerns, go on ahead.
Prime Minister that I voted for is a fucking pussy. The Prime Minister that I voted for now condones a war against Geneva Accord. Get your fist up, get your wrist up, get a pissed up, cause every light to your face, keep the gas lit. Let them have it, like the matchstick, over the motherfucking black shit.
Are you hearing all the screams as children being killed right here in Palestine? Strange things are happening, the news is lying too. Are you following the truth? Are you hearing all the lies the media is silencing whenever we try? Strange things are happening, it's called a genocide. Are you standing for what's right? Strange things have happened here, stranger will it be? We left at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree? Step and call out for his love to
Israeli hostage. Wrote Hamas a thing.
This is precisely why Israel took so long to pretend like they actually cared about the hostages. Because many of the people who lived in those kibbutzim who were close to Gaza were very sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. I'm going to read you a quote from somebody who lived on kibbutz Be'eri. There were people from Gaza who worked in the kibbutz, and they were part of the community. They'd bring their children to the kindergarten in the kibbutz. When they couldn't come to work anymore, we began collecting money from the community, and there is now a fund that keeps them alive. Vivian, the Canadian-Israeli activist that was killed on October 7th, she was there calling for an end to the occupation. I have a friend whose cousin was killed in kibbutz Be'eri, and she is calling for an end to the occupation. The longer these hostages stayed in Gaza, the more the Israeli government could control the narrative. If they weren't home, the Israeli government could say they were probably being tortured and killed. But the minute we saw them coming home, they were saying we were treated so nicely. Even the lady who shook the hand of the Hamas member when she was freed said how well she was treated. And her daughter did an interview weeks later saying that her mother and father, who were both taken by Hamas, had been part of protests for the last year against Netanyahu. I think the Israeli government knew that the minute these people came home, they would not be able to control the narrative. And even though we have watched the Israeli government carpet bomb Gaza, where the hostages are supposedly being held, you know that every single one of those hostages that dies in Gaza, the Israeli government is going to say they died because Hamas killed them. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, especially somebody who is not here anymore. But I would guess that Vivian, after working so hard to end the occupation and for peace for the Palestinians, that she would be mortified to find out that her death was being used to justify killing innocent civilians. And truly, my heart goes out to the hostages that were sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, that have been working towards peace and ending the occupation for years. They probably heard the bombing while they were kept in Gaza. I can guarantee they probably heard it, and they probably heard the people from Hamas talking about it. But when they have access to the stories and the images of what we have all seen for the last month and a half, they are going to see what was done in the name of getting them home. And that is going to be absolutely heartbreaking for them. I don't know how the Israeli government is going to control what they have to say. I know that is why the Israeli government is trying to stop them from talking to the media, because I say not in my name. I can't imagine.
I support the right to Palestinian liberation. As somebody who wants peace, I don't understand why you think death is good. Where did I say I think it's good? Well, I just don't see you condemning both sides. That would be because I'm probably focusing on the tens of thousands of people that are being killed and the millions displaced. So can you just not say death is bad? No, I can. Death is bad. So then why aren't you condemning both sides? Because again, one side is experiencing genocide and the other one is enacting it. Well, maybe Hamas shouldn't be a violent terrorist organization. What about the 40 years before Hamas? What does that have to do with anything? Maybe the fact that from 1948 to 1987, Israel was still committing a genocide despite the fact that Hamas didn't even exist. That's kind of irrelevant as well, but have they ever tried, I don't know, being peaceful? Yes, multiple times. They're capable of that? What does that mean? Never mind, how did that go? They were also killed. I don't know, have they tried doing it again? Yes, and they were killed again. Alright, well, if you're so smart, then what do you suggest we do to fix this? Recognize that organizations like Hamas are a symptom of the occupation, apartheid, and genocide that Palestinians have been enduring for, I don't know, 75 years? So you don't think they're bad. No, I just recognize that in order for you to fix a problem, you can't try to fix the symptoms, you have to fix the cause, which in this case is Israel. So you don't think deaths are bad.
على عهدي على ديني على أرض تلاقيني أنا لأهلي أنا فديهم أنا دمي فلسطيني
I feel like we are past due for a redefinition of the word defense.
A quick trigger warning before we get into this video. My body exists. This post is for the chronic illness and disability community. If you're not a part of that community, I still invite you to listen politely to this conversation. On a recent video I posted, another disabled person commented that they had to hide the video to just listen to my voice because my video was triggering for them. The reason it was triggering for them and the reason that they told me that I need a trigger warning is because of my collarbone. My collarbone is permanently dislocated, meaning that it always looks like this. And it was a cooking video where I was moving my arms frequently, meaning that you can see it moving back and forth. Now, this is an insecurity that I have spent years of my life trying to overcome and get comfortable with. I don't feel insecure about it in the way that I used to. So being told by another disabled person, another person in my community, not only did they find this unsightly, which is typically what I've heard in the past, they also found it unsightly to such a level that they thought that I needed to put a trigger warning on my video. A warning to people for how my body just looks naturally. A warning to let people know that my body might make them uncomfortable. I completely reject the idea that we need to put trigger warnings on our bodies. There is already so much socialization to make us believe that any body that does not look or work in the normal, acceptable way is not worth looking at. is not worth seeing and should be hidden away. For over 100 years of our nation's history, there were laws on the books that made it illegal to appear in public if you were deemed unsightly. These laws were referred to as ugly laws, and they primarily targeted fat and disabled people. If your body did not fit what society viewed as desirable, you could be charged with a crime for appearing in public. And putting a trigger warning over my own posts that just show me existing feels a lot like that. Disabled bodies do not need trigger warnings. And the very idea of that is so incredibly dehumanizing. Normalize not all bodies looking normal.
Are you sick in the mind? Are you that mentally enslaved and intellectually subservient and intellectually molested and ideologically molested?
Well, you don't know me, but I know you.
How do black parents have the conversation about slavery with their children? Is it a
This is a conversation that we often call the talk. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a very black neighborhood, go to a black church, and attend a mostly black elementary school. Slavery wasn't a topic that we didn't broach or that we didn't talk about. We also didn't feel this weird sense of shame that I know some people in our community feel. The way I was taught is that slavery was something that was done to us, but not something that defines us. I was more so taught that this was the history of white people, not the history of black people. Because I was surrounded by so many black voices, especially early on, there was never a sense of shame put into me about this thing that happened to us. If anything, it shows the initial point of our struggle with this country for our civil rights, our human rights. It shows the endurance and the power and the strength of black people. It is a difficult conversation. It almost feels like you're taking away your kid's innocence in a way. As a new parent, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to have this conversation. Yeah, I hope that helps.
You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out.
Te huru o tōku whaia e karangana ki tōku maunga. Ko au te huru o tōku whaia kaua e ngu e tapa i makawe. Ko ia ko hine nui te po tirohi ana ki ngā tohu I ro I ngā manu I ro I ngā we I te ahika I ro I te koiwi I ro I ngā manu I ro I ngā we I te ahika I ro I te koiwi.
When did it end? All the enjoyment. I'm sad again. Don't tell my boyfriend it's not what he's made for. What was I made for? Cause I don't